welcome to Simply Sarap. Today we're going to be starting a recipe that explores all the way back to our Spanish roots. But first, let's go back here to Barcelona and to our church here, where we can see its history and where it actually came from and how it was brought into our country.
Barcelona town of Sorsogon province is one of the seat of the government of Spanish rule during those times.
The church itself is a sight to see with the murals on the ceiling, and given the fact that it's over 145 years old, it's something that we would be proud of as well as part of the Christian heritage and culture of the province.
This actually resembles how the Spanish or Spaniards came into our place during those times. So this place is a very historical and important part of our culture.
Now, lechon is not something that's quite uniquely Filipino. Lechon can be found in Latin American countries where they also call it lechon, and it can also be found in Hawaii where they call it kalua pig. There's two kinds of lechon here in the Philippines. We've got Cebu Lechon and we've got Manila Lechon. For today's recipe, we're going to be preparing a Cebu Lechon. So let's get started. So first thing you'll need is basically a pork belly. Now to start, we have our salt, and I'm using generous amounts of salt. So generously season the meat with salt, and we'll just kind of give it a lovely little massage. Make sure to get salt in all the nooks and crevices of the pig. So now we're just going to use up all our pepper and rub it really well into the meat. So you kind of just get that spice just melded into the fat. Now, normally in Cebu Lechon, they use star anise because they use a whole pig to kind of infuse the flavor into. But since we're using pork belly, I'm using this anise seeds, or you could use fennel seeds to get that same flavor, but a bit more mellow and less intense. So just try to get it rubbed into every nook and crevice again. Next, we've got garlic. Now, this garlic is called Ilocano garlic because it's very small and it has a much more intense flavor profile. It's a lot spicier and it has more of that garlicky flavor. So once you kind of rub it in, it really just crushes itself into the fat and into the meat. So next we've got onions. Now we won't be rubbing the onions in. I think that it can impart its flavor just fine during the roasting process. Now next we have here some bell peppers. And lastly, one of the main flavorings of Cebu Lechon that really is quite unique and quite distinctive in it is lemongrass, or as we locally call it, tanglad. So we'll lay it out just like this. I have some chilies that I'm just going to speckle along our belly. And just like that, our filling is done. And we're just gonna roll it up and make sure that everything is kind of set on the inside. So I'll turn it around and you can kind of see that this is the very presentable side of our rolled up lechon. I'm going to add salt to our skin. So this will help kind of dry the skin out, and not just dry the skin out, but season it and get it to crisp up quite a bit while it's baking in the oven. This is just to secure everything in place and make sure that it's also presentable once we're ready to cook it. Alright, so at this point that it's been tied, we're going to place it on our baking tray in just a drizzle of oil to help the skin crisp up just a little bit. And cover it in aluminum foil just so that it doesn't burn on the outside while we're baking and tenderizing the meat inside. So we'll take it to the oven and bake it at 200 degrees Celsius for about an hour and 30 minutes. Alright, so now our lechon is fully cooked. What I did is after an hour 30 minutes, I took it out, removed the aluminum foil, and then cooked it for another hour so that the skin has time to crisp. We'll take it out of the oven, and you see this beautiful crust. So there's quite a lot of oil actually coming out of it, which is good. You can just remove that and save it for gravies or for future cooking, especially if you're gonna make fried rice. It'll make delicious fried rice. And now we're going to slice our lechon and cut through that crust. Oh wow, look at that. Such a beautiful skin. And you kind of see all the lemongrass coming out. You can see the juices flowing out of the pork. Oh, it's delicious. So Philippine culture is very well known for the special facet of it where we have sausawan or dips with everything. And lechon is a very important part of that. You can see see how juicy it is and how fatty. I think my most favorite sauce is the Ilocano bagoong, and I have to just dip it in and oh wow. Wow. I've got a good bite of pepper in that. The skin, I don't know if you can hear me, but it's so crunchy.
Join me in rediscovering Filipino history and flavors in the next episodes of Simply Sarap. Visit the DFA official sites for more details.